Hi, I'm Marilyn, and I want to welcome you today to Exposing Grief. When we expose anything, it becomes less threatening. To expose loss and grief will provide us with some emotional control. In 2020, we laid the foundation for these conversations. Over 12 episodes, we explained how loss and grief can and does occur at any age or any stage in life. You can go back and listen to those foundational podcast episodes, or you can begin listening today as part of your journey to become more emotionally and mentally healthy. This journey is personal. You cannot force or coerce anyone into being more healthy, whether physically or mentally. The person has to be willing to do all the hard work in order to see results. You can, however, be someone who encourages the person that success is possible and that they can achieve that success over their mental and emotional health. I am not a psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, therapist, or any professional from the field of mental health. I'm just someone who has lived many years. I have had my own bouts with loss and grief, and I have observed others as they have dealt with loss and grief. The key is to deal with your emotions, not ignore them. When something is ignored, it does not necessarily get better. If you are uncertain where to start, I would suggest seeking professional assistance. A professional can provide you with tools on how to manage emotional traumas that arise in life. Emotions are part of the human makeup, so it's to our advantage to learn how to navigate them. Today's difficult topic about the death of a sibling does not necessarily appear to affect everyone. As an only child, you may think such a topic is of no value to you. Unfortunately, we suppress the topic of loss and grief so often that we don't realize when we are impacted by it. If you have any close relatives or friends that you spend an enormous amount of time with and you confide in them, then these relationships are very similar to sibling relationships. When those bonds are broken by death, your grief is very real and has to be worked through. Since humans are social beings, we make connections with others inside and outside of our immediate family units. In the family unit, there may be history established that only direct family members participate in. For instance, your family may stay up all night on Friday nights eating pizza, laughing and talking as a way to start the weekend. This is a family tradition. You may tell others about it, but the event itself is usually reserved for immediate family members, and it is part of your family history that you and your siblings have in common. It is a tradition you can talk about long after the tradition has ended. You are also able to create that same type of history with relatives or friends. It can be easy to establish bonds with others we are in close contact with. The end of those bonds through death or other separations can be an emotional challenge. Life can stay the same for years and years, and then there's a change. Whether the change is expected or unexpected, we generally are not prepared for the emotional part of changes. For most of us, consistency is our friend. We grow up in the same house and neighborhood, go to the same schools, and know most of the people we see week in and week out, month in and month out. Our lives are so routine, familiar, and comfortable that when something happens to disturb that familiarity and comfort, our emotional state begins to stir. We can feel uncertain and even unsafe. Know that all of this is normal. Just because we don't spend much time talking about death, loss, or grief does not mean there is no impact when these occur in our lives. Even if our family relationship with siblings was difficult, there can be a grieving period which must be worked through. The past family history with that person no longer exists. The childhood memories may remain, but the person is not there to talk with or even to forgive. Sometimes there may be unfinished emotional business with that person. To be truly healthy, we must find a way to resolve the pain and grief of loss, as well as resolve any unfinished business. Therapy is an excellent way to gain the tools necessary to move forward in a healthy way. There is never any shame in taking care of yourself, whether physically or emotionally. If someone tries to shame you, understand they probably have their own issues they have refused to deal with and are just trying to project their insecurities onto you. These conversations about loss, grief, and emotional well-being are necessary and perhaps well overdue. Be a part of these important conversations. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to visit with you next time on Exposing Grief.